church planter can walk 20 miles in a day. Give him a bicycle and he can go 3 times as far and be 3 times as effective. It's so good to be together one more time as we continue our chronological study through the entire New Testament. And here we are once again in the final chapter of Matthew's Gospel, reading about the greatest event of all of human history, the resurrection of Jesus Christ, a guy who predicted many times prior to this that he would die, that he would be crucified, and that he would come back to life on the 3rd day. And so he pulled it off perfectly. And there's been nothing comparable to this ever done in all of human history. You would think that by now this message would have circled the globe a million times, that it would be on the front pages of newspapers, at least on a weekly basis, if not a monthly basis, that there'd be magazines, devoted to this, and that everyone would be talking about it on radio and TV. But for the most part, still today, people are ignoring this. Why? I can only surmise that it's because they love the darkness and therefore they refuse to come to the light. And if you compare this story with any other story offered by any other religion, and I don't believe Christianity is a religion, it's in a class all by itself, nothing comes close. Nothing comes close. And so it would behoove everyone in the world to investigate this story and see if in fact it is historically true. And if it is, then you have to come to only one conclusion: this was the Son of God. And now I have a choice. Do I submit to him, or do I continue shaking my fist at him and spitting in his face and ignoring him? All right, well, enough said on that subject. We left off last time in Matthew 28, verse number 9. Matthew certainly truncates a major part of this story of the resurrection of Jesus. Sunday morning, he does talk about the women coming to Jesus' tomb and Jesus appearing to them. Verse number 9 is the last verse I believe we read last time of Matthew 28. And behold, Jesus met them and greeted them. And they came up and took hold of his feet and worshiped him. And I suggested to you last time that, all the gospel writers, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, all had to cut out details to, make this into a readable size. I think it was John himself said, if we wrote everything that Jesus did or said, the world itself could not contain the books. And I wish they had made their stories longer. I wish they had made more details, but they didn't. And so Matthew just, talks about that, and then he mentions some words that Jesus said to these women who were worshiping him, telling them, don't be afraid. This is verse number 10 of Matthew 28. Go and take word to my brethren to leave for Galilee, and there they will see me. And so that took place on Sunday morning, probably pretty early in the morning, although I've already told you they could have come back and forth to that tomb 5 times, 10 times, who knows how many times. These guys left out lots of details. And Matthew didn't tell us anything that happened in the afternoon. He didn't tell us anything that happened that evening. And it's amazing he left that out, because Jesus appeared to the 11 that evening. He appeared to Simon, Peter, at some point in time that afternoon. He appeared to 2 men who were walking on the road to Emmaus at some point in time. Matthew leaves it all out. Okay? Putting the 4 gospel accounts together is we come up with this harmonious picture, but it's still a very, very truncated picture. So that being said, can we jump over, as we've been doing, to Mark's gospel and read something that Mark tells us that Matthew doesn't tell us, which is a little bit surprising. This is Mark 16, verse number 9. Now, after he had risen early on the first day of the week, he first appeared to Mary Magdalene. That agrees perfectly with what John wrote, and from whom he had cast out 7 demons. She went and reported to those who had been with him while they were mourning and weeping. Verse number 11, when they heard it, that he was alive and had been seen by her, they refused to believe it. Verse number 12, and after that he appeared in a different form. Okay, so not in the same form as he had appeared to Mary, in a different form to 2 of them while they were walking along their way to the country. They went away and reported it to others, but they did not believe them either. And so if all we had was Mark's account, that's all we would know about the 2 men whom Jesus appeared to in a different form who were traveling, he just says, to the country. It is Luke's gospel that gives us much more detail, and this is where we really want to launch off this time. And so we're going to begin now in Luke chapter 24 and verse 13, the story of Jesus' appearance to the two disciples on the road to Emmaus. And this is apparently in the afternoon sometime. Behold, two of them were going. Oh, can I just interject one more thing? We have no doubt that Jesus at some point in that afternoon appeared to Peter, but there isn't a single reference to it, there's not a single account of it in Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John. You do find a quick reference to it in Luke's gospel. We'll read that eventually. But we have to wait for quite a long time and read in 1 Corinthians chapter 15 when Paul brings up the fact also that Jesus appeared to Simon Peter at some point in the afternoon. But again, gives us no details whatsoever. Okay, why not? Wouldn't you have loved to have that account in the Bible? It's not anywhere in the Bible. We'll have to wait till we get to heaven and ask Peter. Okay, back to Luke chapter 24 and verse number 13. Behold, two of them were going that very day to a village named Emmaus, which was about 7 miles from Jerusalem. And they were talking with each other about all the things which had taken place. How could you talk about anything else than what had just occurred over the last 3 days? While they were talking and discussing, Jesus himself approached and began traveling with them. But their eyes were prevented from recognizing him. And he said to them, "What are these words that you are exchanging with one another as you are walking?" And they stood still, looking sad. One of them, named Cleopas, answered and said to him, "Are you the only one visiting Jerusalem and unaware of the things which have happened here in these days?" Well, clearly, Jesus knew what had happened over the past 3 days. He was the central figure in the drama. And so he was playing a game. And so playing a game with somebody as he did, pretending not to know what he knew, there's nothing sinful about that. Telling an outright lie to deceive somebody is wrong, but doing what Jesus did here is not wrong. Okay? Well, we're going to have to next time talk about what happened next, the greatest Bible study in all of human history. And so I'll see you next time.
HeavenWord 7 is made possible by the financial support of viewers like you. Thank you.